Is anybody in the state of Mississippi actually working today, or is everybody on a baseball high? I think there have been some great headlines from Mississippi baseball over the weekend. PRCC, Ole Miss, Southern Miss, Mississippi State had a good run, but they're eliminated. But stealing the headlines with a new head coach, Brian Hadad from Sports Talk Mississippi, and Thunder and Lightning. I think you pretty much called this on your show weeks ago.
Yeah, there wasn't going to be any question that this was the way it was going, that Zach Selman had targeted Brian O'Connor from the beginning of this search. He was the number one draft pick. If anybody else got the job, it was going to be because he said no, and he decided not to walk away from Virginia. So yeah,
this guy's been offered a lot of good jobs in the past that he's turned down.
Yeah, he turned down LSU a couple years ago. He turned down Texas A&M. Just a season ago. This is the one that was finally able to pluck him. And I give a lot of credit to Zach Selman for that, because he basically put together a Godfather offer. And in terms of not only what he was going to give O'Connor, but what he was going to give his program in terms of commitment, NIL funding, what he's going to allow for his staff and things of that nature. So he made it an offer he could not refuse. And that's the reason Brian O'Connor is the head coach of Mississippi State baseball today.
So how will the program change? I mean, obviously, State's going to be willing to sink some more resources into the program and returning them to the super regionals and hopefully to Omaha very quickly, where Brian O'Connor may have a second house. He's been there so many times.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's actually from Omaha. I don't know if a lot of people know this. Scott, do you know, you've seen the stadium there in Omaha? There's that statue out in front, right, of those guys dogpiling. Have you ever? Okay.
If you say so. Look, Brian, I have watched more college baseball in the last 3 days than I have in the last 15 years, probably.
I got you.
I'm not much of a baseball guy, but I'm trying to get behind the schools.
There you go. So anyway, there's a statue at the stadium at Charles Schwab Park, and Brian O'Connor is in the statue. He's talk about a guy whose roots are in Omaha. There's a statue of him there.
That's a good sign.
As far as what's going to change, I mean, basically, Mississippi State baseball is going to operate the way Mississippi State baseball should have been operating this whole time. There'll be a giant commitment to resources. But not that there wasn't before. I just feel like with the previous staff, you had guys that couldn't close the deal in recruiting. When you're talking about NIL, what people forget sometimes is it's not Amazon. I can't just click and, okay, I've got a shortstop and I can't, or a quarterback or a point guard. You still have to recruit those guys. And, Mississippi State, I can tell you with confidence, was the top NIL offer for some elite prospects over the last 2 or 3 years, but couldn't close the deal on them because they just didn't have the recruiters on staff. I don't think that's going to be a problem anymore. Mississippi State baseball 2016 to 2021, 5 super regionals, 3 college World Series appearances, and a national championship. That's where this program's ceiling is to be year in, year out a contender to go to Omaha. And I think with Brian O'Connor in place, that's exactly what you're going to see.
And as you talk about recruiting, Brian, O'Connor is bringing, I believe, his top recruiter with him from Virginia.
Yeah, that guy already tweeted this morning. I believe he's staying in the left field lounge suites out there until he gets himself moved in. But Kevin McMullen will be a part of his staff. He's been with O'Connor for a number of years. 2-time National Assistant Coach of the Year, is known as an elite hitting coach and an elite recruiter. And then the other side of that is the Wake Forest pitching coach, Corey Muscara, who is another guy who's generally recognized as the top pitching coach in the country. Wake Forest plays this afternoon. They're playing Tennessee in a winner go-home match. If they lose that game, you could see that announcement sort of similar to what happened last night. It could be a late-night announcement. Maybe certainly by this time tomorrow, Mississippi State could have its pitching coach in place.
Yeah, I think I said last week, and again, I'm not the baseball guy, but they were going to wait to make this announcement, even though it seemed to be a done deal until State was eliminated from the regionals before. That way they could change the narrative as well. What does this mean for the rest of the sports at Mississippi State? Are we going to see an increased commitment to football and basketball and the other sports as well now that or will they solely focus on returning their baseball team to the legacy that they've had?
Oh, no, this is not a either-or situation at all for Mississippi State. They're continuing to pour resources into football, which is, of course, that's what drives everything in schools nowadays with athletics.
That's the moneymaker, right?
That's your moneymaker. You can't not have football. So that's happening. You look at Mississippi State's basketball class. It's going to end up being a top 10 transfer class. It's a top 10 high school class. And, Josh Hubbard didn't come back to Mississippi State just because he loves it here in Starkville. He likes taking a trip to Two Brothers or anything like that. Plenty of money headed to Hubbard. State's NIL, is in a really good spot right now. And again, that's something that Zach Selman deserves a lot of credit for. When he took over at Mississippi State, State probably had the worst NIL funds in the conference because the previous administration did not prioritize it in the way that you have to. You see basically every other week Selman announcing a new 7-figure gift to Mississippi State's NIL efforts. So, yeah, this is not an either-or situation for State. They have the money to fully fund and be competitive in all three major sports.
Brian Hadad, Sports Talk Mississippi, Thunder and Lightning. Let's talk about the rest of the teams across the state. I'm wearing black and gold today to support Southern Miss after beating my Alabama Crimson Tide. I've got Hattiesburg ties, so I'm going to wear the black and gold. Don't for one second think I'm wearing this blue shirt. Don't for one second think I'm wearing a blue shirt to support any other schools in this state. I just grabbed this out of the closet. Do not for one second think that. So I don't even know. Who's your team?
I'm a State guy, so yeah.
Yeah, so you couldn't find any maroon to wear today?
I'm sure I could have. I am not a thinker when it comes to getting dressed in the morning. Whatever's next up in the rotation just goes on my back. So
perfect. So Southern Miss will play again tonight against Miami, the second time they'll face, and Ole Miss Murray State. I'm not a baseball guy, but it seems to me like Ole Miss has the easiest path to the Super Regionals because Murray State's got to be out of pitchers by now.
And it's not that Ole Miss isn't out of pitchers as well. I mean, both when you get to this point in the region, when you're playing on Monday, everybody is struggling to find arms. But if we're going to get into a slugfest, I would much rather have the Ole Miss lineup than the Murray State lineup. Murray State's a great story to have gotten this far, but when they lost that game yesterday, their chances of winning this regional really, really took a dive. Could they still do it? Yeah, it's baseball. Crazy things happen. But by and large, Ole Miss should be favored to not only win, but because Georgia lost on the other side of the bracket, they should be hosting a super regional in Oxford when we get to the weekend next week. And the same is true down in Hattiesburg with Vanderbilt, the number one national seed, getting eliminated. Southern Mississippi, if they win this game today, will host a super regional next weekend. So we could have two super regionals happening in the state of Mississippi. That's never happened before. So that's going to be really cool if both these teams can pull off these wins. I would tell you that Ole Miss is a big favorite. I would say Southern Miss is a favorite. I don't know how, because Miami's a decent program. They'll have some arms. But the way that USM has played since that first loss on Friday, you got to think they're gonna get the job done.
So Murray State can hit the ball. They didn't last night, but they still got 8 runs. What was it, a 19-8 game, and Southern Miss Miami also slugfest, 17-6. Do you expect to see that much action again today?
I mean, like I said, who's got pitching left? And there's just not a lot of pitching available. You're going to be throwing guys who haven't thrown much this year. You're just trying to piece things together with your bullpen. So, yeah, I expect runs in both of these games. Now that I've said that, both games will finish 3-2. But, I mean, if you told me that both games finished 12-7 or 15-8 or something like that, I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. There's just not a lot of pitching left. And, you got, especially the USM Miami region, you got two good hitting teams. Murray State can hit the ball, as you said. Ole Miss can mash. So I expect them to put a lot of runs on the board today.
Yeah, that was a lot of action last night to watch. Who's the kid that plays first base for Southern Miss? He might be my favorite player in the College Baseball World Series now.
I see you doing this to me. I don't know Southern Miss's lineup by heart.
Lance,
but
I'm sure Lance knows by offhand.
No, y'all go ahead.
Oh, Lance. You were supposed to be there for us, Lance.
Hey, I'm here. I'm looking it up. I just can't remember. It's not Pato, is it?
I don't know. Big kid.
Yeah, let's see. Any rate, y'all go ahead and keep talking. I'll find it.
I mean, and I'm trying first base, Matthew Russo.
Russo, that's him, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he seems like a good kid. Really seemed to be the emotional leader of the team last night.
Yeah, Southern Miss is a team that's loaded with guys like that, though, that have, played a lot of college baseball, veteran guys. And Ostrander's such a good coach. I mean, he's just got that program rolling right now. I mean, about to host another super regional. Obviously there's some luck involved in that with Vanderbilt losing. Nobody would have predicted that, but you can only do what you can do. Texas was lost. Clemson is lost. A lot of national seeds are out at this point. It's been kind of an interesting tournament for sure.
What's the best place in the state to watch a baseball game?
At the stadium. I would go to Swayze or to Pete Taylor. I mean, that's
no, yeah. Do you prefer the Pete? Do you prefer Stacey? The Swayze?
Oh, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, the best stadium in the country. The best stadium in the country is here in Starkville. Is Duty Noble Field. But since there's not being baseball played there, either one. I'm not gonna jump on that landmine. Either one are great. We'll just say that.
Fans were getting into it. I think it's the Pete in Hattiesburg where you can like back your pickup truck in and grill out of the back of your truck. So I think I saw somebody there with a treehouse in left field.
The Roost,
That was odd.
Yeah.
Brian Hadad, it's great to see you. Thanks for coming in early today.
Anytime, guys.
Be sure to tune in Sports Talk Mississippi and Thunder and Lightning. I'm Scott Sands in for Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.